So Sierra, now that all of the dust has settled with all the headlines that popped up over the weekend, talking about adjusting commissions, I think it's best that we talk about what the reality is and go a little deeper too, just about the industry in general and how hard we work as agents, because I think some things are getting missed and misconstrued. So I think it's worth having a chat.
I think the media has really spun this. It's like getting a lot of attention in the comments about the real estate agent and industry. I'm like, ooh, yikes, like people are going in on this commission thing. So one—
People always going on real estate agents, though. I have to say, this is just like another, this is a good excuse to go back in again, you know?
I think because like 80% of the agents don't really make it past their first year in real estate. So you have a handful of realtors that aren't really raising the bar in the industry. And I've talked about this before. I think the bar does need to raise. Like it needs to be leveled up. But the reality is, all it changes is the way that we're negotiating a commission now, where in the MLS, it's not going to just be obviously displayed of what a seller is paying to bring a buyer to their property.
Right.
I think the negotiation's still going to be there. It's just going to be different.
And I think most listing agents are still going to set the expectation of what commission standards are. I think that, you know, maybe that conversation changes a little bit, but personally, I love being able to negotiate my commission. I think the agents that know their value, know their worth, know how to communicate, know how to negotiate are going to do really well with this, you know, putting their best foot forward and putting the ball back in their court to do that negotiation.
Right. And I think people are getting this misconstrued with affordability in buying real estate. The agent's commission has little to none to do with being able to afford a house right now. I mean, the average seller has 20 to 30% equity in their property, and for decades, they've been paying that percentage. So for buyer affordability, this really has nothing to do with that and shouldn't be the focus of what we're talking about in the real estate industry when it comes to how do we get more people to be, you know, homeowners and have that American dream.
You know, there's talks of before the seller was paying commission, and now maybe the buyer will have to be paying the commission, and that's why that may affect affordability. But I think there are so many creative ways around that. You know, when you're placing your offer, again, communication with the agent on the other side, what that looks like, and then how to strategize. I mean, I think agents often, we talk about it with Mentorical. It's one of the big reasons why I created that, was because I do feel like agent education is so important. But I think good agents know how to navigate that conversation already, and they know their value and they show their value. And if you're showing your value to your client, even not your client, even on the other side, if you're showing that value, they want to compensate you for what you do. We work really, really hard.
And here's the thing is, people don't need to use an agent. Just like you don't need to use an attorney or an accountant for your taxes. You could go do it yourself. But I guarantee the process is going to be not as easy. And using someone that actually knows the process and knows what they're doing will save you thousands of dollars, because I've saved clients hundreds of thousands of dollars. So even if a buyer is paying a buyer's agent commission, what they're going to get in that transaction is going to save them money long term and protect them.
Yeah. And I think overall, what we were talking about earlier is that we work really hard. And I think the common misconception, media has a lot to do with it, maybe some TV shows out there, it doesn't always come across that way. But a good buyer's agent—
while we do it.
Yes, always. But a good buyer's agent, like, they're working their
door knocking, cold calling,
hitting the pavement and hustling, you know? And I think we talked about it yesterday. It's like putting in 50 hours a week for one client, and we have multiple clients. So
even years. I mean, there's times where you're working 6 months to 6 years to really convert a client. And how do you equate that to even a 6% commission, you know?
Yeah. So I think the overall takeaway for me and what I could pull from this situation is, yes, things are going to change. They're always going to change. I foresee more changes coming. But I think at the end of the day, if you're confident in your value, if you're confident in your skills and you're confident in yourself and you know you're doing a good job, you're educated, then you really don't have a lot to worry about here.
Well, that's what they say. You'll only get paid if you've got a product or service you can sell. And so if you've got a great service you could sell, people will be willing to pay for it.
Exactly.